the way we use language, the way I use language, and I call that, of course, as you know, relational expressions, relational languaging. And one of the effects of languaging in this way is to create an I that is in relationship to something, but is not totalized by something. So an I, which is to position the I in a different way than being immersed in something. You're reflecting on something. So one of the things I've talked about is that I think has been hard for people to grasp is that I'm not wanting people to take up one place or another place. I'm wanting people to experience the movement between one place and another place. So the movement that comes with relational languaging. So somebody says, I'm selfish. I might say, so this selfish idea that you have, when did you first take up this idea? Or what's the effect of this on you? Or where have you heard this notion from? I may talk about this. So this, somebody says, you know, using that as an example, what I'm wanting people to experience is, I want people to be able to experience moving from a being in something to an outside reflecting on something. So, and then back to being in something to an outside reflecting on something. So the outside reflection place is like standing on a hilltop looking over something. But you can't stand up there all your life. Well, you know, you'd have a pretty lonely life if you did. Looking in on your life, that would be not such a good idea. We all go from that outside reflecting place to an inside direct experience place. But in that movement, we experience something differently. So if I move to an outside reflecting place and look at these fearful ideas that are limiting me, in that outside reflecting place, I can see the environment within which this is being shaped. And then I drop back into direct experience, which might be to notice that as I see this wider environment, the fear increases, or the fear diminishes, or I find that I have this experience, body experience, where I want to vomit. I don't call that fear, I just feel, I feel shaky, or I feel liberated, any of those sorts of things. So we take that embodied experience, we name it again relationally, and we move back to the on the hill place, perspective. So it's not the place that's so significant for me, it's the movement. Because in the movement, people experience something differently. And to some extent, with some people, and it's just different with different people you're working with, depending on the problems that people are encountering in their life, to some extent, what I would like people to experience is, in a way, to be able to, in that movement, to see how the measuring of selves, to experience how the measuring of selves comes about. So it's not just, here's one story, here's another story. It's more, the measuring of selves is a complex process of which individuals are a part, but also they're impacted, the individual is being impacted on by a whole lot of other things in our community. So in a sense, if people get that perspective, or if people can move into that perspective or experience that, it produces its own liberation. We don't have to, people can see that they can be active in this. So if I think I'm a bad person as a result of the abuse that I experienced, and no matter what people say to me, I still continue to hold that viewpoint, then as I move into this hilltop perspective and see how this self has been created, the sense of I'm a bad, worthless person has been created by all sorts of experiences, including the person who's abused me's voice, but also societal ideas gendered ideas, cultural ideas, as I see that, then I become more liberated to consider this is being shaped not just by an intrinsic quality of who I am, but by all of this. So that's what I'm attempting to do by using this tool, which is simply a tool. Relational expressions allows us to move from internalising experience to a reflecting on direct experience. So that means that to some extent I'm listening not just for what we might call as problems of one sort or another. I'm listening for expressions that are defining of the self or others. So if you say, I'm frustrated with you, that frustration is not a problem. It's simply this frustration that you experienced when. So it becomes specific. It becomes something that's connected with you. But as you move to the hilltop, you can see the shaping of this, what it is that shaped this over time, etc. So that's one of the key elements for me around generating a sense of movement. And I'm not just doing that movement for other people, I'm doing that movement for myself. As I articulate this, it moves me. So if I'm thinking this way, as I speak it, I'm moved to the hilltop perspective as well. Because when we speak back in definitive ways, so you're frustrated with Jack, that positions us in a certain way too. It stops our vision or limits our vision as well. So the use of, or the way we use language is a great positioning tool for other people, but also a positioning tool for us.